So, Valkyr Prime, a frame that I essentially ranked up to max, made a few builds for, and then stopped using her. I may make a video in the future explaining why I don't like Valkyr anymore, but that isn't this video. In this video, I'm going to talk about Warframe cinematic videos, specifically the Necros Prime cinematic and why I feel they started to go down a negative road for me. Of course, I have to say this right in the beginning, otherwise people will think I dislike the cinematics, but I don't. I think all of them are cool and badass, and a great way for DE to show their talents in animations, and my actual concerns are ones of minority, as most people disagree with me. That said, let's just jump right in. Also related to realism, or lore-friendly, two dreaded terms that nobody can ever be consistent on in this game apparently, what it boils down to is how accurate are the cinematics toward the actual gameplay. Since they are Warframe cinematics, it's important that their Warframe powers match what they look like in-game, as well as behaving as close as possible to the real thing. Of course, a lenience to this realism or accuracy rule can be broken for obvious minor things. Take the Vauban Prime trailer for example. Right off the bat, you can sit with an emote in the game, so it's immediately lore-friendly and accurate to the game. The exclusion, if you notice of course, is Vauban Prime is holding his Fragor Prime, which cannot happen in-game, but this is one of the things I mentioned that you can suspend your disbelief, because this slight animation change does not change Vauban Prime himself. He then falls down and casts a Tesla and a bounce pad, and after bouncing from it, he tosses down a Bastille. All of these things can be done in order if you are high enough, but again, there are a few things that DE had to do to make him look more badass. A single Tesla won't stun all enemies at once, for example, and you can't go upside down and toss an ability like he does, but the ability animation itself and the look of the ability matches completely. He then fires each of his Axtiletto Primes separately, but again, if they use the animation that is actually in the game, it would look pretty bland, but you can still kill enemies as quickly as he does, just not in a 360-degree radius. Vortex also does pull in bursts similar to how it does in the trailer. So all in all, the trailer is very accurate to the game and you can do everything but a couple things, and those things are still minor. Now look at Necros Prime. Like I said before, some animations can be excused so it looks cooler, and right off the bat it starts with a Grineer capture target fleeing, and he is running in a panic when in the actual game they run at a constant speed, often aiming their gun behind them so they can defend themselves when players get close. But we will excuse that. Later on, the capture target trips, and we see Necros Prime walk up to him, again excusing the fact that the target would actually throw down a cloak grenade and run away, and behind him we see his Shadows of the Dead, except they are not yelling "Tenno Scum" and firing at the capture target, and I'll get back to that in a moment. We then see Necros cast Soul Punch, which is the first major error. Soul Punch actually ragdolls enemies, yet the capture target stays in place and just dies right there. While I can excuse some animation changes, this one is just silly. If they change the animation to this one in the game, I would prefer it though, just to be clear. And again, we come to many animations that do not exist in Warframe. Dead bodies do not get off the ground and resurrect like this, and the reality is Necros summons them from thin air. His shadows also never move as slow as they do. These are two instances of the trailer that don't actually happen in game, but the ones that I would much rather prefer happened in the game itself. Like I said, the trailer is badass and I like it, I just don't like how DE is going the direction of fluffing them up to make them look cooler, unless DE decides to make Necros more like he does in his trailer. Make shadows appear by crawling out of the ground instead of popping into existence, and maybe cause bodies of enemies you just killed rise up when casting Shadows of the Dead if their bodies haven't dissolved yet. This kind of touch would make it very similar to the cinematic, like Vauban Prime's, so Necros Prime would be as badass in the game as he is in the trailer. Now, off to my Valkyr Prime cinematic predictions. This entire video so far has been leading up to the point that I feel the Necros Prime cinematic was fluffed up to make him look cool, instead of keeping him actually cool by emulating how he works in-game. This is my fear with the Valkyr Prime cinematic. Don't misunderstand me though, I'm sure it will be badass and it will make Valkyr Prime look cool. But at the same time, she'll probably do tons of stuff she can't do in-game, just to make her look cool for the camera, so to speak. I predict that because she is often compared to a feline or wolf or some sort of wild animal, her trailer will involve her creeping around on all fours stalking enemies, using animations that don't exist, and then ripping apart fleeing enemies who don't flee from Valkyr with her rip line. She may also be shown using a rip line to make herself like a cannonball, swinging into a group of enemies and knocking them down, then ripping them apart with her claws. Another prediction of mine, and one that I actually hope for, is it will show glimpses of Orokin as they are making the Valkyr Prime frame, and an operator is heard screaming as she is forced to link with the frame, causing her to rage and break free, killing the Orokin scientists or whatever, and it cuts out to being her subdued in some way. So that's my little rant / prediction video regarding cinematic trailers in Warframe. If you like this video, you may also like my rant on the current state of stealth in this game as well, which has a little bit more to do with the game itself rather than nitpicking Warframe trailers. In any case, thanks for watching.